Welcome to the State Champions Invitational presented by Geico. McDonough Arena, Washington, D.C. The championship of the State Champions Invitational. Lone Peak out of Utah, Sidwell Friends from right here in D.C. Here's the State Champions Invitational bracket on the girls' side. Both of these teams had byes in the quarterfinals, won their semifinal matchups. Champions to be decided today. With Brooke Weisgrove, Chris Lewis here with you. All right, we already saw 2 great days of excellent basketball. Time to crown a champion.
Yeah, this is a new level, right? You have state champions playing against state champions to really get those bragging rights and call yourself the State Champion Invitational Champion. This is a really great event because you have a team like Sidwell Friends with star power, Lone Peak, a team that has a chip on their shoulder from losing to Sidwell Friends by 10. I think they're pressed and ready to take home a title today.
Well, you're talking about the teams. We have some great stars to look out for individually as well. Kaylee Woolston, she's to stand out for Lone Peak. An excellent shooter. We saw it against Desert Vista in her 32 points. Kendall Dudley for Sidwell Friends was a standout against Centennial with 21. So both of those players, top of the marquee.
Kaylee Woolston is someone who can really move well without the ball, and when she has it, she can create shots under pressure. She never gets phased, and if you just let her slip by, get a little bit of time, feet are set, hands are ready, so when she receives the ball, she's ready to shoot. Has perfect rotation. Kendall Dudley, you just put the ball in her hands, or don't, she'll take it herself and make a play. Has elite skill. I mean, the finish without the guide hand is one thing. Then you got great footwork, just drop, step, spin move. Finish right there. Hezzy, the step back to the right. She's got a complete arsenal to her game. We found out yesterday she will be headed out west, playing with the UCLA Bruins.
Yeah, both of those players will be out west as well, with Woolston committed to BYU. There's Nancy Warner, the head coach at Lone Peak, her 10th year. Former player at BYU. There's Tamika Dudley, the mom of Kendall Dudley, who's the last year's USA Today High School Sports Award Girls Team Coach of the Year.
High school basketball goes international. Fans here in London lined up 4 hours ahead of tip-off to see one of the most highly anticipated games of the summer. It's the overseas debut of Bronny James, a rising senior, and his younger brother Bryce. Their last name precedes them on the court. It's game 1 of a European whirlwind tour. You're watching the Axe Euro Tour, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here to London, the first game of this 3-game trip for the California Basketball Club, traveling around the world as they take on the Hoops Fix Elite Squad, made up of some of the best promising players from around England. An enthusiastic crowd on hand here at the Copper Box Arena. I'm Mike Cousins, along with Paul Biancardi, ESPN's Director of Recruiting. This is an amazing opportunity for these young players from the Golden State here. This is something that hardly college players get to do, and they're doing it before they even move on to the next level.
Yeah, the beauty of basketball is it takes you places you might not go on your own. These players will compete against international competition. They get a chance, Mike, to bond as a group. It's such a unique experience.
Sorry we couldn't find Jenny Duncan here just yet, but you'll learn to love tea at some point, Paul. Let's talk about Bronny James coming into this game. He's the highlight player, number 39 in the ESPN 100.
Bronny James had a phenomenal summer circuit. He's fundamentally sound, a high basketball IQ, a good decision maker versus a risk taker. He's made 38% of his spot-up threes according to Synergy Sports. He can influence the game also without scoring. He's a great teammate. The next step for Bronny is his leadership abilities.
And that goes along with his multitudinous talents on the court.
And watch Bronny, the basketball IQ, the ability to make the setup cut, utilize the screen, and as I mentioned, 38% on the catch and shoot. He makes it wet from deep. A willing defender with good lateral quickness. Taking charges on his own man, but this is what he needs to do more of. Find the open pocket of space, get inside to the mid-range game, utilize the pull-up jump shot.
It's another building-busting crowd, this time in France, as the Bronny James-led California Basketball Club draws the attention of the hoops world for their second game of the summer outside the States. Axe Euro Tour, and we come to you from just outside of Paris, from Nanterre, for Game 2 of this European trip for the California Basketball Club as they take on the U18 French select team made up of some of the best players from France, 18 years old and younger. We're welcoming you inside the Nanterre Sports Palace, where it is very warm tonight. My cousins Paul B. and Cody, so glad to have you with us. There's not an empty seat in the building, Paul, to see this team. And in its first game against the squad from London, fell by 7. A couple days to regroup as they look for their first win on the road.
Yeah, they had an 11-point lead in the second quarter. I thought they gave great effort. They played as a unit, but 25 turnovers, way too much. Bryce Cofield had the dunk that made SportsCenter. Ronnie James was solid. They're going to be strong tonight.
And something that's never in doubt is the trust by head coach Andre Chevalier and Ronnie James.
You know, he's never going to give up, right? I think he's the ultimate team player. He understands the game. He understands the small things that he can do to really contribute to the game. And so, you know, we're just happy to have him, you know, be a part of, like, how we flow this year, how we play, and also to watch the development of this game across the board.
Well, this sequence is a perfect example of Bronny James. His drive to the basket, little out of control, misses the shot. Instead of putting his head down, he thinks about the next play, sprints back, gets the tap back. That's a sign of maturity. Ronnie James becoming a complete all-around player. He can produce by scoring and making non-scoring plays. I love the thought process by Bronny James.
And assuredly, he'll see plenty of time on the floor. He went 23 minutes in game number 1 as part of the starting lineup, contributing a well-rounded stat sheet line for him. 11 points, 6 boards, and 2 steals to go along with those 3 assists. He did go 0 for 6 from 3, so room for improvement, and that's the case for everybody on this roster as they get acclimated with one another on game 2 out of 3 on this European tour.
You are watching the Geico ESPN High School Basketball Showcase presented by Axe. We are in Springfield, Massachusetts, the birthplace of basketball. And today, at this moment, it's the epicenter of basketball. A top 15 showdown between Columbus and Sierra Canyon inside of Blake Arena. Sold out, standing room only crowd. Matt Schick alongside National Director of Recruiting for ESPN, Paul Piangardi. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, it has been standing room only for the last couple of hours, waiting for this matchup and these superstars.
Yeah, stars on each roster, 2 top 15 teams. We're going to see some of the best players in the high school game go head-to-head. I can't wait.
We're packed in like sardines. You better like each other here on ESPNU. Not a lot of room to roam. Camden had a lot of room earlier today. One of the top teams in the nation, Aaron Bradshaw, DJ Wagner, both heading to Kentucky. They combined for 27 points in their win over Bishop Gorman. We got Montford, Sunrise Christian coming up, AZ Compass Prep, and IMG Academy. But all eyes are on these 2 players today. The #1 sophomore in Cam Boozer and one of the top seniors, Ronnie James.
Well, Cam Boozer is a special player. Physically strong at 6'8", 220 pounds. He can catch lobs, he can throw lobs. Plays under control, he's powerful. Tremendous hands with a soft touch inside. An excellent open 3-point shooter. This kid plays under control with poise and patience. On the other side, it's Bronny James. His game continues to mature. He's impacting winning at a greater rate. With time and space, the 3-point shot is his greatest weapon. But you put him in the open floor, he has body control and balance to finish. As a senior this season, he's the heart and soul and the leader of Sierra Canyon.
What a matchup today. The Columbus head coach, Andrew Moran, enjoyed our conversation with him, his 4th season as the head coach. Loves what he has. A lot of good talent on that roster with the Boozer twins, Benny Fricella as well. And then on the other side, of course, it is the head coach of Sierra Canyon, Andre Chevalier, in his 6th year at Sierra Canyon. Played some basketball at Cal State Northridge. They got some big wins this season, a lot of talent on the roster. And it's going to be, he's got a front row seat, we've got a front row seat. Let's tip this thing off.